Transmitter device activated. Coordinates set for Earth 2.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Earth 2 podcast, your weekly exploration of the DC Comics multiverse and the legacy of their Golden Age characters to the Silver and Bronze Ages of comics. I'm Peter Watson.
And I'm David Steele. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us for our look at issue 247 of World's Finest Comics, published on the 19th of July 1977, just a few weeks after Ringo's 37th birthday.
Gasp.
Gosh. And a few weeks after the third birthday of Simon from Menswear.
Oh, happy birthday, Simon, yes.
Yes, I'll have to see if I can get the birth dates of everyone else that was in the Montrose Avenue. That might be difficult, though. Anyway, issue 247. Once again, we're going to be reading the Wonder Woman story, continuing from last week's exciting cliffhanger. But before that, we'll have a quick chat about some of the other stuff, beginning with Peter's description of the cover.
At the top, it's the Barbell-esque logo with the DC bullet in the top left. It's a red DC bullet, update the spreadsheets. Dollar Comics, November, $1, number 247. World's Finest Comics, approved by the Comics Code Authority. And we've got the now standard floating heads telling us who else is in this issue. Wonder Woman, Black Canary, Green Arrow, and Vigilante. Now, this is a striking cover.
Oh my goodness, it is, isn't it? There's a bit of a subtext going on, isn't there, Pete?
There most certainly is. Right, there's a big podium. Standing at this podium, grim-faced and giving what is technically known as a Roman salute.
Yes.
It appears to be the Man of Steel himself. He's very po-faced and grim, isn't he?
Yes.
My goodness.
Gosh.
His left hand is grasping the edge of the podium. Hanging down from this podium is a giant red banner with a yellow S Superman logo on it. Now, below him are what appear to be almost like an army. They're wearing kind of purple uniforms. They actually look kind of French Foreign Legion-y, to be honest. They're wearing those sort of hats.
I see your thinking there, yes.
And they're all giving Roman salutes up to the side, and they all seem to be wearing armbands. Armbands with the Superman logo on it.
Like we all did in November 1992 when he died.
Yes, except these are blue, not black, sir. Also, some of them are carrying flags, again, with the Superman logo on it, with a blue background. My goodness. And looking on, aghast, are some members of the Justice League. There's Flash, there's Green Arrow, there's Wonder Woman, and Batman is not looking at Superman. He's turned round to the reader and he's saying, "Stand back. No one can stop the new Superman from taking over the world."
Gosh! So yes, this is obviously a continuation of the Superman's hunchback twin brother storyline. The new Superman Batman refers to is, of course, Superman's twin brother, Kor-El, who has taken over the world. Some amusing stuff of Batman cutting about in a trench coat with a hat over his bat ears at the start of this story. Flashback to everything that's been going on. It's a very, very World's Finest story. Kurt Stravenberger's art doesn't really suit it too much.
No, it's a bit too fun and cartoony.
Yeah. It's a bit too light, given some of the subject matter, but he's very good at drawing significant American political landmarks.
Yes, like the Capitol building and, of course, the Abraham Lincoln statue. Yeah, yes. Which is very cool. Features prominently.
A couple of other heroes pop up, as Pete said in the cover. The Atom appears, which is very briefly, which is fun.
He might have been on the cover, he just might have been too small to see.
This is true. Actually, let's have another look and see if we can see him. No. Flash and Hawkman appear in flashback, and then, of course, it's revealed that he isn't actually Superman's twin brother who left Krypton earlier. It's actually the Parasite disguise, so there you go. Phew!
Way! I like the Parasite.
It's very World's Finest. It almost feels like an early Silver Age throwback in some ways, to be honest.
Yeah, very much so, especially with Stravenberger's artwork, yeah.
After that, we get the Black Canary story, where Dinah, much to my delight, spends the first 3 pages fighting the werewolf guy, wearing only a towel.
Yeah.
Not to be irredeemable about it, but there we are.
Reminiscent of course, the famous Wildcat versus Injustice Society fight.
Yes!
Or indeed the Black Widow just out of the shower fight scene as well, from Marvel Fanfare.
That's right. There's no resolution to Canary's story in this chapter, but it is continued elsewhere in the very next page in the Green Arrow story.
It certainly is, yes. There's a nice cameo as well from the Flash, with a small interlude in the satellite. But again, they're up against this man-beast creature.
There's a few sort of animal-man type
Yes.
or man-animal type situations. Anime. Oh, they even use the term anime-men at one point.
Indeed, yes.
I thought that would trademark the X-Men, but there you go.
And it turns out the villain's name behind it all is Moreau, as in the island of Dr. Moreau.
I see what they did there.
Uh-huh.
Points for subtlety there to Jerry Conway.
Again, terrific artwork from Sal Amendola in this one. Yeah.
Yeah. Not the happiest of endings for all the beasties involved, but we'll gloss over that. We then come to the Vigilante, but as we've said already, we're going to be doing that in the future, and that brings us
to the main feature.
So yes, our main feature, of course, this week is Wonder Woman, and it's opposite. Oh, a full-page advertisement for the DC Book Brigade sale.
Wow.
So what have we got here then? So some comics listed, but also Batman from the 30s to the 70s, which I've got.
Gasp.
Superman from the 30s to the 70s, which I've
I
got.
think I've got that as well.
The Secret Origins of the DC Heroes, which I've got, and I don't think I've got that Wonder Woman book.
Oh, really? Okay.
No, I've got the Shazam 30s, but I haven't actually tracked the Wonder Woman one down. I'll have to have a look and see if I can find that at some point. But that Secret Origins of the DC Superheroes hardback is tremendous. I'm sure I have posted elements from that on the socials before. I think when it was first released, there was a house ad for it. So scroll back down to Instagram, people, if you can summon the inclination. So our Wonder Woman story kicks off with a caption.
Continuing one of the strangest adventures of World War II with the Amazon called Wonder Woman. Guest starring the Battle Doll, Mademoiselle Marie.
Gosh. We then get the title for the story.
The Man in the Doomsday Mask.
And there's some more captioning.
Portrait of Defeat. 6 seconds ago, this woman warrior prepared to capture the infamous Nazi Baron Blitzkrieg, only to find her plans frustrated as...
Yes, and we're back at the closing seconds of issue 246's Wonder Woman story. Baron Blitzkrieg has Prime Minister Winston Churchill with a scruff of his jacket. Another senior military officer looks on. Wonder Woman looks on as Baron Blitzkrieg says,
"One step closer, Amazon, and Prime Minister Churchill will breathe no more. You would do well to heed what I say. A gentleman does not bluff."
And as General Auchinleck looks on and Wonder Woman looks on and Mr. Churchill looks fairly nonplussed, we get the credits for the issue.
Report filed by correspondents Jerry Conway, writer, Jose Delbo and Vince Coletta, artists.
Oh, no Don Heck, that's a shame.
No Don Heck.
Oh. Well, over the page, and immediately we get another caption.
Chapter 1.
Wonder Woman gets a close-up. She thinks, Baron Blitzkrieg has already proven himself a merciless killer. An asterisk takes us to a caption.
See last issue's report, Jack C. Harris. Or indeed, last week's episode.
Wonder Woman's thoughts continue. And with the powers he possesses thanks to Nazi science, I don't dare attack him while he holds the Prime Minister prisoner. But then she's interrupted as some soldiers bust in through the door, and Wonder Woman thinks, Great hero, what? British commandos? I can't let them act. And as the soldiers start to open fire, she reaches forward and knocks the first soldier's rifle to the side. The rifle fires with a kapow! And the soldier says,
Who the bloody
And he exclaims because Wonder Woman grabs him, picks him up, and throws him into his colleagues as he says,
Hey, miss, we're on your side, not ugh!
"God blimey!" exclaims one of the soldiers he collides with as Wonder Woman thinks in conclusion, or they'll be torn apart. Yes, because she couldn't let them act, remember we said that a second ago. Anyway, she turns to see Baron Blitzkrieg forcing General Auchinleck and Winston Churchill out of the door, and his parting shot is,
"Danke, Sir Fräulein. Your assistance has made my escape all the easier. If I have need for your services again, rest assured, I shall call you."
Athena, forgive me. What have I done? All she can do is indeed, top of the next page, cross to the window and look down to see Baron Blitzkrieg walking with the two lads in front of them towards a jeep. Various soldiers standing around, pointing their weapons, obviously too scared to do anything. Wonder Woman thinks, Blitzkrieg is making a fool out of me, and I can't stop him. But perhaps, if I play what Steve might call a waiting game, and we see Blitzkrieg saying to Steve,
"You there, Major. Get into that jeep, since your staff car is unfortunately out of commission."
And Steve replies,
Thanks to you and your hand grenade, mister.
And a quick asterisk takes us to a caption.
Blitzkrieg blew up the car last issue, Jack C. Harris. Or indeed, last week's episode.
Yes. Steve continues.
But you don't have a grenade now.
And then Blitzkrieg steps forward and basically scrunches the windscreen of the Jeep with his gloved hand, saying,
"Yeah, Major, but I still have this. By mentally focusing my full biological energies, I can attain the strength of a tiger. More than enough force to crush the life from you and our guests. Where would the British Eighth Army in Africa be without their General Auchinleck? And England without her Churchill.
And a very pissed-off looking Steve says,
You've made your point, Ratsy. Where to?
and as the jeep pulls off, the Baron replies,
The airport, Major. Schnell! We have a plane to catch. To Berlin.
Wonder Woman rushes out of the building at this point. Looking around, one of the soldiers beside her yells,
Are you blind, woman? That's the bloody Prime Minister he's kidnapped, and you let him get away!
Please, soldier, I need silence to concentrate.
Silence? Silence, is it? Wonder Woman, you're under arrest.
Nonsense, she cries as her invisible plane swoops down in front of her. I have far more crucial matters to deal with than arguing with you, soldier. Robot plane, follow that car. And as the soldier can only look on, the captioning returns.
Unaware of her unconscious jest, and leaving behind one very confused British officer, Wonder Woman trails a jeep driven by Major Steve Trevor as it winds through a blacked-out London, soon arriving at the Army Airport, where...
We see Baron Blitzkrieg jumping from the jeep and approaching a couple of American airmen. He says,
Achtung! I am commandeering your bomber, gentlemen. Resist, and you will be punished.
Is this Joker for real?
Yeah, he's a crummy kraut. And no crummy kraut tells this Okie what to. Oof!
But this Okie is interrupted because the Baron has reached forward and punched him in the stomach with a thud. The Baron then says,
I said, no resistance.
And with an uppercut, he sends the other airman flying with an Steve then says to the Baron in the next panel,
Cute punk. Now who flies your plane?
You do, Major. After all, these are eagle's wings on your shoulder, are they not? Kameraden, if you will precede me.
And he gestures towards the aeroplane. Prime Minister Churchill and General Auchinleck step forward with Winston saying, Sir, you will regret this, and soon. And as the plane takes off, the Baron can be heard replying,
Forgive me, Herr Prime Minister, but you are mistaken. How may a man ever regret so sweet a victory?
and he laughs evilly, gasp.
Moonlight dapples the English Channel. 40 minutes later, as two planes skim beneath the clouds, one rumbling with muffled engines, the other speeding without a sound.
Yes, because Wonder Woman is trailing them in her invisible plane. She gets a nice close-up in the cockpit as she thinks, Blitzkrieg can't see me since the robot plane is invisible and he can't hear me, yet somehow I have the eeriest feeling he knows he's being tracked, and it doesn't bother him one bit. And she gets a nice little disembodied head close-up as her thoughts continue. What sort of man is he, this Baron Blitzkrieg? One-time commander of a death camp, his face permanently disfigured by a rebel's act, and his very body transformed by a secret medical experiment ordered by Hitler himself. Is he a man anymore? There's a couple of flashbacks to what happened to the Baron. The indication actually that the bottle was swiped across his face rather than thrown at him, which it seemed to be last week. So that's interesting. There's also a shot of a baldy German scientist with a big syringe. As Mr. Ransom from the Doctor Who story Spearhead from Space appears to be looking on.
I thought it looked more like George W. Bush with a bit of a tash.
Yeah, it's interesting. What if George W. Bush and Mr. Ransom...
Yes, we're the Führer of Germany back in World War II.
Yes. Anyway, we cut back to an aerial shot, and as Wonder Woman's thoughts on the Baron continue, or has he become something truly twisted and inhuman? Then she notices, Merciful Minerva, diving out of the clouds ahead over France. German Messerschmitt fighters attacking Blitzkrieg's plane. And yes, there's half a dozen Messerschmitts flying down with a rat-a-tat-a-tat. We will now cut to Rich from the Weird Warriors podcast for a history minute or a killjoy to tell us if this is accurate.
Okay.
What's that? Rich is too busy? That's fine. Maybe they'll do this story themselves in a couple of years as a special mission. Listeners, if you're not listening to the Weird Warriors podcast, you really should. They're covering a lot of similar ground to what we're doing at the moment with these Wonder Woman flashbacks, and it's a general similar era to what we're covering, and the lovely gentleman and everything. And over the page it says,
Chapter 2. As the Messerschmitts dive through the darkness...
Yes, we see Steve and Baron Blitzkrieg in their cockpit with Steve saying,
Looks like your party's about to be crashed, Blitzkrieg. Typical Nazi ill manners. Those boys aren't even waiting for an invitation.
The Baron replies,
Verdammt Schwein, if I die, so do you.
We then pull back a little to see Winston Churchill puffing on a cigar, so nonchalant as he says, Fear of death is a luxury we British can ill afford while your kind swarms over Europe. And then General Auchinleck chips in with,
You've lost this round, Herr Blitzkrieg, as surely as your masters will lose the war.
Silence! I will not hear your driveling. Eh? Was ist los? Gott in Himmel! It's ein Wunderfräulein.
And he looks out to see Wonder Woman standing atop her invisible jet, basically battling with the Messerschmitts, using her lasso to grab one of the planes and redirect it so that it crashes into one of the other ones. Spectacular. Be assured that this image will make it onto the socials. There are some general cries of
Ei, weiblich!
Nein!
Unmöglich!
And a brilliant sound effect as the collision I've just described takes place. Wonder Woman gets back in the moment as she sees what's going on and thinks, oh no! The third fighter has hit Steve's bomber. It's going down in flames. And yes, in the distance we can see the plane that had Baron Blitzkrieg and Winston Churchill and Steve burning and falling from the sky and indeed crashing, yells Wonder Woman. Steve! Steve! Plane hits the ground with a huge as we turn the page and a caption kicks in.
Ignoring the last fleeing Messerschmitt, the Amazon lands her telepathically controlled robot plane and runs to the scene of the crash, only to pause in the shadows, chest heaving in relief.
Yes, that was quite a good bit of narrative leaping there, wasn't it? That probably saved about 3 panels. We can see Wonder Woman hiding in the shadows of a tree as we see the silhouetted forms of Baron Blitzkrieg and Steve and Prime Minister and the General exiting the crashed plane. Wonder Woman sees all this and thinks, they're alive, and they've been discovered. And we see the Baron and the lads standing as a German colonel and a couple of officers and a nice big dog appear out of the trees with a German colonel saying, you will all stand where you are. I'm Oberst Helmut Wolfstaffel, and you are captured spies. Baron Blitzkrieg boggles with an enormous cartoon question mark and a... and then he says,
Colonel, this is a matter of party priority. You must put me in contact with Berlin immediately.
And a little asterisk tells us that this conversation is being...
Translated from the Deutsch, says Jack C. Harris.
The colonel replies, your German is excellent, mein Herr, but I am no fool. You are an enemy agent, masquerading as a countryman, and you must be surrendered to the Schutzstaffel, the SS. You may tell them of your party priorities, saboteur. The Baron gets a close-up here as he looks enraged under his helmet and he says,
Schwarzenegger, idiot! By your pompous ignorance you have delayed me, and now you will pay!
And with that, the Baron summons up some of his internal energy and lamps the Colonel, who can only exclaim, ugh!
Like a human buzzsaw, Blitzkrieg rips into the officer, and seconds later...
Yes, we see the Colonel out for the count on the ground, and the Baron turning to one of the other German soldiers and saying,
Lieutenant, you are now in command. Order me a train for Berlin at once.
Jawohl, mein Kommandant! And the Baron turns to Steve, General Auchinleck, and a very well-rendered Prime Minister Winston Churchill as he says,
Gentlemen, we are on our way.
Once this part of France worshipped the morning light, but after 2 years of occupation, the citizens resent the revealing daylight, almost as much as they resent their Teutonic conquerors, who can warp train schedules at a whim, often causing them to leave almost an hour early.
And those captions play over some shots of German soldiers in occupied France, some civilians going about the business. And this is the perfect point. If you're interested in French history, our friend Kelly's Metro Stop podcast is worth checking out.
Especially French trains.
Yes.
Yes.
It's so relevant, it's unbelievable. And indeed, on board the train, we see Wonder Woman in civvies, and she is thinking, I saw Steve and the others on this train, even if they didn't see me in my Parisian disguise. And she's making her way along, and she's thinking, after that display of Blitzkrieg's power last night, I'm more worried than ever. Super strength, super speed... Aphrodite knows what else he can do. And she's outside compartment number 123, which is obviously a reference to Flash of Two Worlds, as she thinks, voices from that compartment? What they're saying, it's unbelievable.
Ironically, at that moment, in the top secret offices of military intelligence in London...
Yes, we cut back to London, and we see a bespectacled home guard type chap walking along with his, it's clearly his gas mask that he's got over his chest, that's cool. And we're outside a big building, and inside a conversation taking place between our old pal General Blankenship and a senior British military officer, with the General saying, can't you stop them? Call the mission off?
I'm sorry, General Blankenship. My hands are tied. Those French blighters won't take orders from anyone but de Gaulle. And most of the time, not even from him.
But according to G2, that train's carrying Winston Churchill, and your guerrillas plan to blow it sky high.
Bit of a mess, eh, what?
General, that's putting it mildly.
And on the northbound Berlin Express...
Yes, we cut back to the devastating Diana Prince in her purple coat and little purple beret, standing outside compartment 123 and listening to the conversation inside. She thinks, French resistance fighters. If they're allowed to complete their plan, and then over the next couple of panels, she goes into a spin, changing from her civvy clothes back into her Wonder Woman uniform. She thinks, this will make the third time I protected the Baron, and I pray to Athena, it's the last.
Not all the combatants in a war wear uniforms or sport medals. Some soldiers have no uniforms other than the freedom in their hearts and the rifle in their hands. These are such soldiers, these members of the resistance.
Yes, with a crash, Wonder Woman bursts into the compartment and we see a few gentlemen with neat moustaches and hats and coats and jackets and stuff, and amongst them is a striking young lady with short red hair, a green jumper, a green skirt, and wearing a beret hat. Yes, she will be identified very quickly. Listeners, can you guess who it is? Because at the top of page 11, a caption reads, Chapter 3. As soldiers they are when attacked, they react with force. Yes, and as Wonder Woman rushes in, they all start firing their guns and machine guns at her. One of the French resistance lads saying, C'est incroyable! She moves like Quicksilver, catching our fire on her wrists. A caption tells that this little bit of dialogue is...
From the French, Jack C. Harris.
Yes, and then the young lady we've just described brings up her own gun and says,
Not her wrists, Martin. Those bracelets. I have heard of such woman from the British broadcast. Wonder Woman. But why should she assault us?
And as they all continue to fire on Wonder Woman, we see her reaching for a bag that's on the floor that's full of dynamite. One of the resistance men cries, The explosives! She's... And then we see that they appear to have been very... Because it's not very clear from the drawing... Wonder Woman appears to have thrown the bag out of the window and it appears to have exploded with a... In the next panel we see that the young lady has struck Wonder Woman on the chin with the butt of her gun and a... thunk! As she says...
The British radio was wrong. She is no defender of liberty, but a Nazi collaborator.
Please, you don't understand... Oh, says Wonder Woman, as she's struck, and maddeningly, we shift elsewhere, as a caption reads.
And in his private car at the end of the train... Baron Blitzkrieg holds court, smiling from behind his iron mask.
Yes, we can see that he's holding a fancy goblet that has a swastika on it. History Minute from Rich tells us there never was such a thing. We can see Winston Churchill sat down, Steve Trevor's there, General Auchinleck, one other German soldier, and as he takes a drink, there's not a full moon in our dustbin, but he takes a drink, the Baron is saying,
Soon, Herr Minister, soon we will be in Germany. And then I shall be your host, as you were mine in England. I shall prove more hospitable than you allies. But then we Germans are, as any Jew or Slav will attest, a gracious people.
We see Steve looking around to his left here, and he thinks,
Have to move quickly, before Blitzkrieg can act.
And he moves forward, punching the German soldier in the stomach and grabbing his gun.
Did it. Not even the Baron can stop a high-caliber bullet.
And then a caption reads,
Or can he?
And as Steve brings the gun to bear, Baron Blitzkrieg's head seems to start glowing as he points at Steve and says,
Very foolish, Major Trevor. My abilities are not limited to speed and strength alone. As I have said, I can focus my body's energies, like a lens directing the heat of the sun. And like that lens, I can increase the temperature to mind-stunning degrees.
Yes, his head basically turns golden from the heat, and a little ray seems to emanate from him and melts the barrel of Steve's gun, and indeed melts the whole gun, so it just collapses onto the floor in a big molten mess as the Baron casually continues.
Enough to melt steel and make me truly the man in the Doomsday Mask. Sit down, Major. You are beginning to annoy me.
And we see that Baron Blitzkrieg's mask seems to have changed colour here. Seems to be white, but maybe that's it, just returning to normal after he's been using his powers. Who can say? We abruptly cut back to the other railway carriage to see that Wonder Woman has been secured with her lasso by the young woman we met earlier. And the young lady is saying,
Awake, Amazon? Bon, from what I've learned from the radio, this lasso of yours is magic, oui? It will cause you to speak only the truth, and the truth is what I wish to hear. Comprenez-vous?
Yes. One question first. Who are you? And exhaling very gracefully from her cigarette.
For she is French.
Yes. The young lady replies.
They call me Mademoiselle Marie. I am of the underground struggling for a free France. But You? Who are you and why are you here?
Urgently, the Amazon explains, and as Wonder Woman speaks, Mademoiselle Marie grows gradually pale, until...
Yes, releasing Wonder Woman from the lasso. You see Wonder Woman putting it back into position on her hip. Mademoiselle Marie stands up, saying,
I say, my comrades and I have made a grave mistake. We must hurry, or we cannot stop them in time.
And as they start running down the corridor on the train, Wonder Woman asks, Stop them? But I threw the explosives.
We had an alternative plan to destroy the bush pig in the last car. Look out the window, mon ami, and try to imagine what would happen if a car were released near the crest of this hill without brakes, to plunge backward to destruction.
Hounds of Pluto, cries Wonder Woman as I try to figure out what is going on. Right, so they appear to be going up a very steep hill. That's basically it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, imagine what happened for a car. So she means a rail car. If a car were released near the crest of the hill without brakes, it would roll back down and explode. Right, okay. As long as we're all clear on that, I will turn the page to the top of page 14 and Peter can tell us what the caption says.
Speed born of desperation, a cliché that only hints at Wonder Woman's race to the end of the car. A race lost before it has begun, as...
Wonder Woman arrives in time to see one of Marie's cohorts using a welding torch to cut the connecting link between the rest of the train and the final car that contains Steve and Winston Churchill and Baron Blitzkrieg, etc. As Wonder Woman arrives, one of the Frenchmen is saying,
C'est fini. The bush dogs will die.
No, cries Wonder Woman, and she leaps from the train onto the now separate car, which is starting to move back. One of the Frenchmen yells,
Mon Dieu, that woman, she would ruin everything.
I won't let Steve die, cries Wonder Woman as she leaps for the carriage. Never mind Steve, what about everyone else? Mademoiselle Marie arrives and says to her colleagues,
No, mon ami, let her go. She fights our fight for a free world and a free France.
And the train rumbles on toward twilight, carrying its passengers and Mademoiselle Marie into history. While below...
Wonder Woman bursts into the rooms of the remaining rail car as Baron Blitzkrieg says,
Something is wrong. I can sense it. We are moving backward. Himmel, what?
There is a crash as Wonder Woman arrives and she says, Guten Tag, Herr Baron. The time for protection is over, and now you must answer for your crimes.
Fräulein, do not be absurd. I am Blitzkrieg, and I shall crush anything in my path, including a self-styled Amazon.
And again, he focuses his energies as he did previously so that his head glows golden, and he fires a beam of energy towards Wonder Woman. As Wonder Woman brings up her wrists to deflect the beams, she replies, I think not, Nazi. Not when I can play bullets and bracelets and turn your own strength against you. And she's able to use the bracelets to deflect the energy beam back at the Baron with a... The Baron drops to the floor, his head sort of just smoke and flame just burning from it. As Wonder Woman turns to Prime Minister Churchill, the General, to Steve and says, Gentlemen, if you'll pardon my haste, we've got to move. Anything you say, young woman, says the Prime Minister, and Steve says,
Princess, that goes double for me.
And so, less than a minute later, an invisible plane cleaves the Gallic sky as...
We see the rail car with Baron Blitzkrieg still inside it, rolling back down to the bottom of the hill where it comes clean off the track, tips over, and explodes. As Steve says,
Well, Wonder Woman, that's the end of Baron Blitzkrieg.
Is it, Steve? Blitzkrieg was the embodiment of hate, and hate will never end, so long as madmen make war, and soldiers march off to die. And the plane flies into the distance as we get a nice close shot of the burning rail carriage, and a caption reads,
Fini? Somehow, we doubt it.
Next issue on sale during the 4th week in September.
Gosh! Well, that was quite exciting. A shorter story, only 15 pages, so it did feel quite concise and quite, not abrupt, but there was not a lot of fat on it. It was very lean.
Yes, very much so. It went along at a heck of a pace. It was very annoying, kind of like seeing Wonder Woman sort of hampered, unable to take down the Baron at the start, just because he's got Churchill hostage. The change in art style as well was a bit jarring from the previous issue.
Yes, it's a shame. It's a shame that Don Heck didn't get to draw the conclusion.
Yeah, Jose Delbo is not as good as Don Heck at drawing Churchill, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
That last panel, the previous issue, check out last week's episode, was fantastic with the rendering of Churchill, but this is, it's a bit more general, larger chap, you know?
Yeah, it's just generic. Oh, he doesn't even look as rotund as he should be, to be honest.
No, yeah, that's true.
It doesn't really get any close-up character moments, unfortunately.
Interestingly, most of his shots are kind of from behind. So
The one shot of him in the aircraft with his cigar isn't too bad, but there's a shot when you see him in the chair when the barons take a drink, listeners. It doesn't really look anything like him at all.
That's
could
true.
Be anyone.
Very true.
It looks like John Sharp when he was number 2 in The Prisoner, quite frankly. But anyway, that's a conversation for another time. So, quickly, we should probably quickly discuss the Earth 2 podcast debut of Mademoiselle Marie.
We certainly should, yes.
Came out of nowhere, I wasn't expecting that.
No, it's quite fun. Mademoiselle Marie, brief history on Mademoiselle Marie. She is a French freedom fighter. She debuted in Star Spangled War Stories, issue 84, in a story called Battle Doll. So when they called it a battle doll in this, I wonder if that was a reference to that.
It could well have been.
That came out on the 30th of June 1959, so she has been around for quite some time.
Oh, wow. Gosh, that's earlier than I expected, actually. For some reason, I thought it was a little bit later than that, but that's pretty cool.
She ran through a few issues of Star Spangled War Stories. Then she guested in some other titles like Our Army at War, issue 115, Brave and Bold, issue 52, All American Men of War, 102. She had a brief stint in GI Combat, appeared in Our Fighting Force. She's basically turned up every now and then. She's turned up in Unknown Soldier.
Yeah.
I think she's mostly reckoned to be an Earth 1 character.
Yeah.
But to be honest, some of these stories could take place in Earth 1, they could take place in Earth 2. There's nothing distinctively saying, which one it is.
And as we've already established, as far as you and I are concerned, there's a Sergeant Rock on Earth 1 and Earth 2.
There most certainly is, yeah.
So there may as well be a Mademoiselle Marie on Earth 1 and Earth 2, and we will find out before too long what was going on with the Unknown Soldier.
I know, that's going to be exciting. Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, we might even find out what Earth the losers were on. Who can say? It's really nice to see this, because I often feel that there should be more stories showing the wartime superheroes teaming up with the wartime non-superhero characters. I would love to see something where the losers teamed up with a few members of the All-Star Squadron or something.
Yeah, or at least relaying intel back.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. That'd be a man in the field, because we can't go in because of the Spear of Destiny, spoilers for when we cover All-Star Squadron. But we've got Sergeant Rock on the ground, boots in the ground, radioing in.
There is one panel towards the end of a certain 12-issue maxi series that we'll be doing in the future, which probably calls back to what I'm talking about here, but we'll talk about that near the time.
Yeah.
Until we're doing the prep in advance for this, I didn't know that Mademoiselle Marie popped up in this story.
Yeah.
So Mademoiselle Marie popping up, being involved in the original story to feature Baron Blitzkrieg on Earth 2 with Wonder Woman, blah, 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 guest starring Winston Churchill. Excellent.
I know.
You'd think Roy had written this, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, both parts of this story are very Roy Thomas, especially the caption to the beginning of the last issue, where it was like, the man's name is Blitzkrieg. I mean, that's got Roy written all over it.
Yes.
Check out last week's episode for that.
Yeah, you can almost be forgiven for thinking that Jerry Conway was maybe trying to, I don't know, ape him, as it were.
Yes.
It's kind of brief and to the point, this one. It rattles along, not a lot of flab, as I said.
Yeah.
It's just basically a sort of a chase and a catching up. And to be honest, some of what's going on at the end is a little confusing. We probably needed someone to spell out the fact a bit more clearly that this is a very steep hill indeed, and that one train being let go, On my first pass at reading it, especially reading the glimpse at the final couple of panels, I thought, what's going on here? So kind of might have had to try and enhance some of the drama there.
Yeah.
But I think it worked okay.
Also, I don't think trains can actually go up that steep an incline. I'll be perfectly honest. They're not really designed for that. I can't remember. I remember reading something about this a long time ago, but there's a certain angle that they cannot.
Of course.
Literally the physics of it, they can't do it. With that technology then, yeah.
That's why you get cuttings, like the one right next to where I live, where the fabled Mount Florida, where they've just cut a big hole through so that over there where the train can run through the side of it.
Exactly.
Someone who knows a lot more about trains can write in and tell us about that, if that is the case.
Yes.
Will Mademoiselle Marie return to the show? I'm not sure. She might do.
Hope so.
But as we know, Baron Blitzkrieg definitely will, and obviously we still have plenty more of the stories of Wonder Woman in her own book in this little retro flashback era to get through. We might pause on doing some of them for a little while now after doing this little stretch from WF. We will see. Anything else, Pete?
It was great to see Winston Churchill, let's be honest. He didn't get much to do in this. I expected him to be a bit more verbal.
Yes!
But I did like how when he's captured, he's the only one that's seated. Because, he's not the youngest of men.
Yeah, I would have maybe liked a couple of panels of him directly confronting Baron Blitzkrieg and being indomitable, etc. And what have
you can imagine it,
Yes. Yeah, I'm imagining it right now. That's maybe my only criticism, actually. He doesn't really have a scene where he confronts the Baron, but the Baron's powers are fascinating. I love this converting his head into a little energy furnace type thing that he does. That's great.
It's kind of like changed into just standard heat vision in future, but this is definitely a more artistically interesting way to do it.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to have to dig out the All-Star Squadrons and remind myself of what's done with them there.
But of course, he will turn up before then, and we'll be covering that story as well.
Of course. And obviously, I'm sure we're going to see some more of Winston Churchill in the show at some point too.
Yes.
So, contemporary correspondence. A couple of letters in the letters page for issue 250 that touch on this one. So the first letter in the issue from Scott Loverine doesn't really say too much about Wonder Woman, apart from his only comment about Wonder Woman is to bring her back to the present, leave the Nazi fighting to the TV show. I hope comic heroes will not be fighting Nazis in the 21st century. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Then frequent letter writer Scott Gibson contributes, Wonder Woman was as magnificent as ever. It's always interesting to pick up the latest issue of WFC just to see who is penciling the amazing Amazon this month. Luck was with me this time as my favourite. Jose Delbo was at the drawing board. Baron Blitzkrieg's a most worthy foe, and I hope he'll be back, provided he escaped a train crash. One did not dare blink, or you risked missing the guest appearance of Mademoiselle Marie. I counted her playing a much larger and more important role. Ah well, perhaps the two will meet again sometime. By the way, if you're still considering adding new strips to World's Finest Comics, how about Angel and the Ape? And the response to that reads,
surprisingly, another lineup change is planned, but the reasons are far beyond anything you can imagine. And if it's Angel and the Ape you're interested in, check out Showcase issue 100 for a spectacular story featuring this pair, plus every other star featured in that most famous of tryout magazines, so says Jack C. Harris.
yes,
And I think that's the first mention of Showcase 100 in the podcast.
could well be. Showcase 100 does lie in the future, but stay tuned, listeners.
In the far future at the moment, because there's a lot happening right now.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The next letter is from Jeff Sporn, and basically he says, I hardly think the Wonder Woman stories are worth commenting about. This feature should not remain in World's Finest Comics, in my opinion. It just wasn't good enough. If readers want more of Wonder Woman, why don't you just expand her own book? This space could easily be used for less popular members of the JLA or other heroes that are locked in limbo.
Gasp.
And this Jack C. Harris then says,
Expand books! Expand books! Both Batman Family and Adventure Comics are slated for expansion in the near future. The others, ... says Jack C. Harris. Next correspondent is Ray Hamill from Makusa, and he says, Wonder Woman's fight with Baron Blitzkrieg was another great story right down to the end. The almost perfect Wonder Woman was ruined by the introduction of a power Blitzkrieg used by shooting body energies like a lens directing the heat of the sun. Otherwise, okay. Oh yes, Mademoiselle Marie, the French underground member, looked familiar. Was she in a recent issue of Sergeant Rock?
editorial response, as well as covering other things, says Mademoiselle Marie was indeed an issue of Sergeant Rock. She's a regular recurring character in all of our war books. In fact, she once did a very own feature in Star Spangled War Stories.
There we are.
And we'll doubtless be coming back to this correspondence when we cover, as we're going to do very soon, the Vigilante story that runs from issues 246 through 248.
Gasp.
That's it for just now for Wonder Woman versus Baron Blitzkrieg, etc.
So, you've heard what we thought, and you've heard what the readers at the time thought, but what do you think? Why don't you write to us and let us know? You can email us at theearth2podcast@gmail.com. Make sure you follow us on social media, because David, as always, has some amazing things prepped.
Do I? Oh no!
I'm putting you on the spot now. It's going to be shared on our socials. On Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky, we're at the Earth2 Podcast, and on Twitter, we're at podcast_Earth2, and it is, of course, the number 2 for all of our socials.
It certainly is. Listeners, if you're enjoying what we're doing, please consider going to whatever it is you receive your podcast and giving us a positive review. That'd be smashing. Or consider going to our coffee page where you can buy Peter the Price for beverage. You can find it via our link tree. That would also be smashing. Right, so Pete and I are now going to decide which order we're going to do the next 2 episodes, so we better go and have that conversation. On that bombshell, you have been watching
Peter Watson
and David Steele on the Earth2 Podcast.
Transmatter cube activated. Return coordinates set for Earth Prime.
The Colonel replies, "Your German is excellent, mein Herr, but I am no fool. You are an enemy agent masquerading as a countryman, and you must be surrendered to the Schutzstaffel, the SS. You may tell them of your party priorities, saboteur." Sorry, that's the most fun I've had doing a voice in a very long time.
Great.
Sorry.